Good day, everyone. Welcome to another another podcast. It's been a very exciting season so far. We saw Liverpool lift their long-awaited 20th league title. Congratulations to them. Today we have Prince, very die-hard Liverpool fans. Gentlemen, welcome to today's podcast.
Thank you.
Yeah, so today was quite as a Chelsea fan. I'm a Chelsea fan, so as a Chelsea fan, I had pretty much had my heart in my mouth up until we scored the goal. I was monitoring all the results from the other matches that, of course, were going to affect the results outcome of my game. So it's quite interesting. So I want us to do like a quick recap of the season and look at the major teams and pretty much rate them with respect to how we feel. And so we'll start with, of course, the champions, Liverpool. So my opinion on Liverpool is I said this about 2 weeks ago on our first episode. I said that Liverpool have been very exceptional. They beat expectation. We didn't expect them to win the title. In all honesty, most people tipped Arsenal to win the title, but Liverpool did it. Starting in a season where Man City were not like up to par. So for me, Liverpool were exceptional, and kudos to them. So I'm going to come to Prince. Prince, you are a Liverpool fan. I'm sure you are very excited. You are still celebrating. So I want to know your thoughts on the season you lost just had, and what does the future hold?
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a great season. I mean, no matter how you look at it as a fan, even if you lose how many games or whatever, as long as you're on top of the table at the end of the season, it's always going to be a great season. I mean, you won something, you won the title. So yeah, it's a great season. But I mean, deep down, every Liverpool fan knows that there's so much work to do. There's been a lot of talks about, the core of the team being Klopp's team, not Slot's team. Nobody, it's kind of funny because it's almost like we're back to where we were last season when Klopp left. That uncertainty, okay, how is the next season going to pan out, right? So, in as much as we are right now, we are all ecstatic, and there's euphoria everywhere. We were maybe among the top four or top five, as the case may be. We were probably least favorites to clinch the title, and here we are celebrating the title in front of our fans. So that is great. The season as all round was good. But for looking forward, there are still uncertainties. We still need to basically upgrade every department. At least five players, not necessarily into the first team, but into the squad, right? We need five players because there talks about Luis Diaz going to Barcelona. Trent Alexander-Arnold is out. Salah is approaching his prime. So yeah, the front line, midfield, defense, we need cover. So yeah, it's gonna be a very very busy summer. So wait and see how next season turns out. Hopefully, when next season comes, we can build on from what we have and still be competitive. Right now, I cannot tell you how I feel about how the next season is gonna go, but yeah, I'm just hopeful that we are in and out in the shouts for the Premier League trophy next season.
So now let's move on to Arsenal real quick. Arsenal have been coming second for this is the third year in a row. They got to the semi-final of the Champions League. I think I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I would say I'll be the first to say that for Arsenal's standard or for where they would have expected to be at the start of the season, this has been it's been a failure for them pretty much because they still came second again in the Premier League race. They didn't win the Champions League. They didn't even get to the finals of the Champions League. So it's been a failure for in my opinion. So what are your thoughts on Prince? What's your thoughts on what are your thoughts on Arsenal and what can they do to strengthen going forward?
Yeah. So with Arsenal, yeah, what you said is you're just like 100% correct in terms of their assessment of themselves this season. They were, they came second best, and I'm sure they would, they would also feel like they let this kind of slip away from their hands because beginning of the season they were more. I mean, they and Man City were like favorites to win the title, and then Man City had a drop off, and it was now Arsenal's turn to kind of clinch the title. But they just need to just put that behind them and focus on trying to go back to where they're supposed to be next season. Without a doubt, for me, I still believe that besides Man City, right, Arsenal has like I don't know if the strong one of the strong squads. I don't want to use the word strong, but they are very disciplined and they're very organized. They have a very good team. So I don't see any reason why they should not win the title. I don't know if it's an injury thing. Maybe they need to assess their medical, their fitness. Whatever they do in their fitness training or whatever it is. They need to look into that department properly. Maybe that can also help them. And also they should seize opportunities when it comes to transfers. I think those are the two things I feel like let them down this season. One, the health, the fitness, and then two, transfers. They know what they want, but they're kind of like, should I go or should I not go? Actually, let me wait or let me not wait. So they should be more
Yes.
decisive. If they want a player, just go out, just go and get the player. If you want a striker, go get the striker. Like for example, now we're talking about they being the shout for Gyökeres and Isak, right? Instead of thinking two times, if you want Isak, go get him. If you want Gyökeres, go get him. No need to just to wait till July or August, and then before you know, Man City. That's when Man City realize, okay, Haaland and Gyökeres should be up front, and then Man City go get Gyökeres.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, they should be more decisive in their transfers, and they should work on their medical staff should do better. So I think that should put them in a very very strong position to for silverware next season.
yeah. Okay. Prince, what do you think? Do you think they need to replace De Bruyne? And if you think so, with who?
Yeah, first of all, Man City is one of the teams I really don't like talking about because I feel like everything to them is just handed to them on a plate. But yeah, whether they should replace De Bruyne is not even a question. As a matter of fact, they shouldn't even you shouldn't really be talking about replacing only De Bruyne. They have like what, like 3, 4 aging midfielders. I mean, you're talking
Yeah,
about
Bernardo Silva, Gundogan,
Bernardo Silva. You're talking about Gondogan. You're talking about De Bruyne. You're talking about even what's his name? Even the Kovacic.
Kova,
Even though
Kovacic.
he's not
Yeah,
old. Yeah, he's just there.
yeah,
And I mean, the only
exactly.
person that you can make a case for is Rodri, right? Who is, I mean,
Yeah.
he's the world best, current world best. So yeah, so they have like for me, I think like they have like four midfielders to replace. So it's not just De Bruyne.
Oh,
I can't remember the last news I heard about Zubimendi. I don't know if he's still available, but last I heard, I think he's no longer. I think Arsenal is leading the line for that. I'm not sure. I can't even remember what happened. The story with that, the story behind that. But yes, they need a replacement for De Bruyne. They need to bring in at least three more midfielders. Right now, names are not popping into my head right now. I mean, I had to do like a little bit of research to see what midfielders are available. But I'm sure there are a good couple of guys out there in the Bundesliga, right? And also in uh in Spain they could look at like I
yeah,
said, names are not popping into my head right now, but right I know that the Bremen has always been their prime target, for most of the top teams in England. So yeah, like I said, four midfielders at best. The same thing at your defense. Right now, you can only talk of Vadio, John Stones, and the rest of them. John Stones. Okay, he had an okay season, but yeah, they still need to have somebody to fill in that void. For Nathan Ake, he's just they had average season, all of them. The right back,
yeah.
we're having Kyle Walker come back, but he's gonna leave. I
He's
don't
gonna
see
leave. Yeah.
Kyle Walker remaining in that defense. At left back, I can't remember who was playing left back for themselves, but
I think Vadio played
that's
left
how
back for
much
most
that
of the season. Yeah, but
Yeah,
we know that
that's
he
yeah.
was
So that's
converted to a
that's
left
yeah.
back by Pep.
Yeah, yeah. So that tells you how thin their squad seems. So if they continue with this crop of players and don't make they would I mean they will still languish. In fact, they might not even finish top four because even to be honest, even their front line, besides Haaland, I mean Haaland is Haaland, but Savinho, I cannot even say my Nunes. I think Doku does not have end products. He just dances at the wings. Uh, you know, then Savinho, okay, Savinho is a midfielder, but so yeah, these guys they have a lot of work to do, and Guardiola knows that. That's why he's
Yeah.
making those comments. That he's saying, "Oh, I need to work with my players," and all that stuff. But to be honest, like, I don't know. I just have a hunch that Guardiola might not make it to City, but might not be there at City at the beginning of the season. I just don't know why I feel so.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I just don't know why I feel so. Like just feel like some weird drama is gonna pop up, during the summer where already he's beginning to say, oh, he's beginning to make comments, and
To make
then
comments,
who
yeah.
knows what's gonna happen. 115 charges, if that counts for anything, right? The 115 charges might, who knows? There might be a final judgment, and then like, okay, it's time to walk away. So yeah, so it's interesting to see how the summer is going to go for City, right? And we'll see. Everybody, I mean, the top teams have a lot of work to do. City also have a lot of work to do. We'll see how it goes, but yes, they need to replace four of their midfielders, or let me see, add to whatever they have. Replace the ones that are leaving.
Okay, yeah, that's true. So now let's move on to Chelsea, my club. We finally, against, in my opinion, against all odds, we finally made it, and we didn't even need the fifth spot after all. We finished in fourth. In fact, I think of all the teams that were battling for the Champions League spot, aside Man City, we're the only ones that got a win. We beat Nottingham Forest 1-0. Aston Villa lost to United, and Newcastle lost to Everton. Now, instead of talking about just Chelsea, let's talk about the race going into this last game. I know when we had the podcast some weeks ago, a lot of people said that Aston Villa were the dark horse in this race, and I alluded to that because I thought they would do a number on United, but unfortunately, they couldn't. And weirdly enough, the shocker of the day was Newcastle, I don't know what happened. Now they lost to Everton when, in fact, they were extremely lucky that Aston Villa bottled it against United because they would have been playing Champions League football next season. So on Chelsea, I would say something. I'm not the biggest fan of Maresca. I think Chelsea Football Club is a big club. Chelsea has established themselves as a powerhouse in England and Europe in the last 20 years. And I think when you are that kind of club, you should be operating at the highest level. That means getting the best players and getting the best managers. So I don't think Maresca is the elite manager Chelsea needs. However, it is something today that I was quite impressive about. He was a bit pragmatic, especially after he got to the goal, which is unlike him. Throwing in defenders and playing, scrapping the win out, and not throwing caution to the win. So let me ask Prince. Do you think what do you think Chelsea would need going forward, going into next season? What do you think they need, and what would you rate their season so far? Also, rather, what would you rate this season for Chelsea? What would you rate it, and what do you think they need going forward into next season?
Yeah, Chelsea. Like I said in the last podcast I was on, Chelsea. I felt like I said, I felt like the fans were over expectant. I felt like Chelsea were on a good course to. They were in a good course. Whatever, I felt like they were the more stable club, right? Amongst others, because they had a plan. Todd Bowley had a plan. Okay, get these players young, right? Develop them, and it was also fitting that Maresca was the person that they brought in because he was able to hone these young kids. The stat says it there that Chelsea has the whole of in the 20 teams in England. They in the Premier League they have the youngest squad, for him to take this young squad to Champions League, it says a lot. He has been able to develop them. build some kind of mentality. Like, I mean, inexperience is, in fact, to be honest with you, inexperience is the only thing that made Chelsea even come fourth. They should have been second, right? So,
True.
everything is there, for them for the taking. The midfield is okay. If you ask me, I feel like the midfield, Cole Palmer there, Enzo there. They
I
they
said,
they they, they have a, they have an okay midfield. I mean, they can always build to that. This Champions League qualification is a very, very good thing for Chelsea going forward, because now they have, the appeal to the Europe appeal to players, is there, so they
exactly.
can, bring in whoever they want to bring in, and, strengthen the midfield, the defense also. But everybody knows that where Chelsea will do most good will be in the front, the striker, right? I mean, Nicholas Jackson, hate him or love him, he has been able, he contributed Chelsea's position, whether we like it or not,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, true.
So that's not to say he would be the preferred candidate leading the line. So Chelsea needs to, now they're in Champions League, they need to go all out. They need to go all out. Where there's talk about Osimhen willing to take a pay cut to come to Chelsea. I mean, he prefers to. I think I heard that he prefers to go to Premier League, if not Premier League, then Saudi Arabia. So if he comes to the Premier League and goes to Chelsea, I mean, it's just Chelsea. Everybody knows that Chelsea is almost like the appeal clubs for Nigerian players, that are doing well. So if Chelsea can get Osimhen, pay him the money that he wants, or whatever they agree to,
Reach a
you
compromise. Yeah.
know you compromise. Woof, only God knows what's going to happen. Cole Palmer assisting Osimhen
Osimhen.
will be something to see. Then, if I don't know how they're, the wings, I don't know if they're gonna still seal the deal with Man U for Sancho. That will also be a good one. It kind of gives Sancho some sense of stability going forward, like, some purpose to say, okay, yeah, this is my team now. Let me, put in all I need to put in,
Exactly.
So yeah, Chelsea is in a good place. All they just need to do is strengthen, in the front line, add a few to the midfield, just get a good backup, and they'll, I see them doing well. I still see them qualifying for Champions League next season, probably in one of the domestic cups finals, as they always do, like FA Cup or something. Yeah, so they should be going up from here.
The expectation be going into next season. But we know now they don't have European football, no form of European football. Should it be to creep up into the league? Should it be a top four challenge? Do you think they can do that? Do you think they should perhaps try to win the FA Cup or the League Cup? Yeah. How about Prince? What do you think? Your thoughts?
Yeah, Man City. Oh, sorry, Man U. Yeah, I mean, we cannot really. We can't blame Amorim for anything, if you ask me. In fact, I think of what I heard, that, or I read that, the tabloids were correct, that before he came to Manchester United, yeah, I told them, I said, look, guys, you guys should leave this thing till summer. All right, let me focus on sporting. Let me finish.
Yeah.
When I come summer, we'll do whatever. And then United were like, no, 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 we want you to come, because, in fact, this will be an opportunity for you to get to, know the kind of players you want to play. So I guess deep down in the hierarchy in the club's mind, or the club were thinking that, okay, how bad can it get now? When you come, there will be some kind of
You
bounce.
do
There will be some kind of
perform
bounce.
magic.
So don't worry, just confess, and what they saw, or it was just beyond what they could
Yes.
imagine. So, so they, everything is, the club is, it's in a state, it's in a mess. So, but what I expect from Manchester United, because right now everything's against them. Them not winning the Europa League kind of counts against them financially, because
Exactly.
they cannot wield as much power as they would love to
They would love
uh,
to, yeah.
during the summer. So he basically has to work with the crop of players he has, and add a few and see how it goes. So he's almost like, he's being pushed to the wall at this point, and it's kind of a tough position to be at, because, like I said, in starting the season, what they expect is resounding like 3-0 for opening match. Just to give. In
Mhm.
fact, if we even lose any match during the preseason, to look like, hey, guy, what's going on, right? So I expect Man U to start doing business as early as possible. In fact, amongst all the teams that are serious, they actually before the season ends, you should have heard that they've sealed Cunha's deal first. Then they
Yes.
can now start waiting for maybe the small proceeds that come from okay, winning, their position in the league, this and that, and then start saying, okay, who are we going to? Because I mean, if they leave, if Rashford goes and Sancho can go, that kind of frees up a lot of money,
Mhm.
salary wise. Because I mean, this whole thing you're talking about is even salary. It's mostly about the salary wages than the transfer
Yes.
fees. Because you could get a relatively good player from outside the country for cheap. The problem is paying
Oh,
them. So
paying them, yeah.
so yeah, so they should they are the ones that I expect to move very fast during this. So there's no time to waste. Get whoever you need to get, sell whoever you need to sell. I'm sure that should have been happening already, but they shouldn't wait till the end of May, if you ask me. Yeah, so then secondly, they should for now, I think just like what Wilson said, they should just accept they're in a transition. Next season, if they do what they're supposed to do and Amorim has time to do, come to them, I think they're coming to the US here to do some running around. It's with West Ham and Bournemouth and everything. So see, analyze the kind of players he wants to keep, the ones that club needs a massive clear out, if you ask me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, not more than two people should be there. Maybe Fernandez and Ahmad. The rest should just get out. I don't know,
Yeah.
Mino, Garnacho, you can make a case for those two, but funny enough, the irony is that those two players is where they can even get their most money because at this point they have to sell to bring in players. Yeah,
Yeah.
so they need to accept that it's a transition season. Next season, they should, try to aim for one of the domestic cups, even though it might not be much to them, given their standards. But at least start building the winning mentality from there. If they can clinch Europa League, if they can manage to kick Europa League, they should see the season as a success. Anything above Europa League, anything above fifth, he has done too much, if you ask me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
but then again, we cannot say everything depends on how the transfer window goes. If he has a very good
Correct.
transfer, then probably they could move their expectation to at least fourth, bare minimum fourth, right? Yeah, but if the transfer is kind of wobbly because of their financial position, then they should aim for Europa League and then go from there.
Yeah. Okay. So let's round up by so going into today's set of today's games. I always said it that I think Newcastle will qualify for the Champions League. Man City was a given. Arsenal were pretty much done. Liverpool won the league. And the last spot was what was a bit shaky for me. But I always, because I'm a Chelsea fan, I always put Chelsea there. Okay, I think we'll beat Nottingham Forest and all of that. But there was a madness, right? Chelsea won their
Hmm.
game and Nottingham Forest lost, of course. Chelsea beat Nottingham Forest. But most importantly, Newcastle lost to Everton. Now, technically, my predictions remain only that the positions were switched. Chelsea went prepped, leaped ahead of Newcastle. So my question to you guys is, were you guys surprised, or was it what you expected? I was not really surprised at the team that qualified, but I was surprised that Newcastle lost to Everton of all clubs. So were you guys surprised at what happened?
Uh, uh, no, 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 no. So I mean, I wasn't surprised. Like from the last podcast we did. I know that we talked about Aston Villa being a dark horse to peep the
Yeah,
position to Chelsea or Newcastle, any of them that just kind of like drop points. Then Aston Villa will take advantage of that. But in terms of since I mean, when you mention a dark horse, dark horse, it means that the person may or may not, is most likely,
yeah,
will enter. So it's not a surprise that Aston Villa fell out because before going to this final day, it wasn't in their hands, right? They needed Chelsea or Newcastle to drop points for them to qualify. So that kind of puts them, the odds were against them already. But why they were in the conversation was because Chelsea was not going to have an easy game, and Newcastle was not going to have an easy game. what people, in fact, like yesterday I was just I was trying to remember who was Newcastle playing because I knew at the depth, I knew in my head that it was not it was not a small team, like it was not a weak team they were playing. I just cannot remember. When I saw the fixture again, I said, oh, it was Everton. Yeah, I don't know why people think that Everton was going to be a walkover. No, you need to give credit to what David Moyes has done to Everton since he went back to Everton. So I expected
Yeah,
fully that Newcastle were going to struggle. I did not expect them to lose, but at least I would have seen a Newcastle home or a draw, right? Which
exactly.
I feel like a draw would have made them qualify either ways. They were good enough to qualify. That's why, we all said, oh, anyhow, Newcastle will qualify. But they
Yeah,
qualified only because Aston Villa could not take their chance or could not do what they were supposed to do, even though they felt that they were robbed. So yeah, it wasn't a surprise. The whoever qualified was not necessarily a surprise. Newcastle losing may be a surprise, but not so much because I mean Everton is Everton. I mean, sheesh, only God knows if Moyes can continue like this, Everton will go back to being in Europe the way they used to, under Moyes back in the day, where they usually finish between fifth and seventh, right?
mhm,
So yeah, it was a good final day, and every team qualified, they deserved it. Chelsea, they were for me it was 50-50. I could not tell Chelsea. It was more like it was going to go either ways. I couldn't really say Chelsea was going to qualify mostly because they were playing away, so it was very tricky, right? And then Newcastle, for most of this, and Nottingham Forest for most of the season they had a good home record until their drop off recently. So, and for
yeah,
Chelsea to have taken put their foot down and taken advantage of that match when it mattered. It says a lot about their mentality and where the players, where they, in fact, it just says a lot about what the coach has drilled into the team. They did not settle for less and they got what they wanted. So they deserved, whatever they want to do to the Europe, to the Conference League trophy, they want to dash whoever they are playing to play final. That's okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's it was a good one, and yeah, credit to everybody that qualified for the Champions League.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
So just say,
yeah, sorry,
yeah, finish. Sorry,
I
good.
just wanted I just wanted to just throw a little something there. Like I said, I was so very surprised of that Man U result.
Yeah,
If it was any other time, I guess maybe the Europa League final just kind of like gave them some, I don't know, they had like a hard look at themselves, talked about it,
exactly.
probably had sleepless nights over it, had nightmares, and they would just decide to just like, let it not look like that, like our own. Because I mean, I predicted Tottenham and Man City and Man U to just lose that last day because both of them are just that off, right? So, and if it was any other point during the season, I can guarantee you that Man U was going to lose that match, right?
Correct.
So,
True.
but yeah, but the Europa League did wonders. I don't know what this result is. What this result Man U had is going to. I don't know what's new. What do you call it? What message I try to pass. For me, it's inconsequential, but whatever. So yeah, that's just my own 2 cents on that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Europa League loss to Tottenham gave Man U a kick up their backside. So they had to prove a point. And it's funny how, of course, it's easy to say now, but going into this game today, I had a feeling about the Aston Villa United game. I had a feeling that Man U I would not be shocked if Man U draw this game, but I didn't think Man U are going to win. But anyway, football happens. So just to wrap up, Liverpool won the league with 84 points. Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, and Newcastle are going to be playing UEFA Champions League next season. Chelsea did what had to be done. Liverpool won the league about 3 or 4 weeks ago. Leicester City, Ipswich, and Southampton going back to where they came from. Tottenham, United, and Wolves finished 15th, 16th, and 17th. So that is the Premier League for 2024-2025 season. We will keep following. Now we are on to the transfer windows. We'll keep following and giving regular updates as big news come out of the transfer market. We know Liverpool are very busy. It looks like the signed Frimpong, correct me if I'm wrong, and Florian Wirtz is going to happen very soon. So it's going to be a very big, very massive transfer window. I think we should expect a lot of movement. So that being said, please do well to like this video, subscribe to our channel, and follow us on all our socials around Leather. Until we sit down again next time. Have a nice one, guys. Safe.
All right. All right.
So don't drop off, please.